made me blush. Thank you, Mariano. I appreciate it. Hi, my name's CJ. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is May 5th of 2023. I have a sponsor. He knows he's my sponsor. I've been through my 12 steps, working through the 12 traditions now. I also have sponsees who, sometimes know that they're my sponsees when it's convenient. Uh, but all jokes aside, good. I do have sponsees. So I guess I'll just get started. Tonight's kind of, I guess, talking about my experience, strength, and hope. Now I could sit here for 3 hours and qualify myself as an alcoholic. But what I think is most important, especially in my journey, is the growth that I have gained. So I'm just gonna start from when I decided to truly get sober. I This isn't my first round. I've tried to get sober multiple times, but the this time around, 2 years ago on May 5th, I was out with a bunch of friends. We were celebrating a birthday party, and I was at the point of my alcoholism where, like, I knew I was gonna go out and go drink with friends, but I didn't want to wait. I went to the liquor store at 9 a.m., got a bottle beforehand and a bottle for the pregame. So I was drinking by myself at my house way before the party. And then on my way to the birthday party, we were going to Dave and Buster's, and I was drinking on the way there. So I was a bottle and a half deep already, and I arrive and hanging out with friends, drinks are pouring and we're all having a good time playing games at Dave and Buster's, and every so often, like I would sneak away from the group and drink a little bit more. And then go back, hang out with everybody, and then drink with them. And then every so often, I would go sneak away, go to the bar, grab a little bit extra because, nobody else can keep up with me. I'm here to have a good time. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. So I would go and drink without anybody else knowing. Close to the end of the night, um, we decided, hey, you know what? Let's go to a bar. Let's go have an after party. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I'll go. We made it to the bar, and I blacked out a little bit before that, and then slightly came to. By the grace of God, I was able to make it safely to the bar. God was definitely watching over me that night. I got to the bar, and maybe 30, 40 minutes into us at the bar, my buddy walked up. He's like, "Hey man, like you've been drinking a lot." And without even knowing how much I drank, without them knowing, he offered to take my keys to the car, take my keys, offered me to like stay at his house. I was like, "No, man, I'm fine." I put on the best sober face I could and like lied my way out of the situation. And as soon as they turned their backs, I decided to split from the bar and get in my car and drive home. Um, the only thing that I remember was getting to the door to exit the bar, and that was it. The next thing I know, I am in the back of a police car and on my way to the police station. I ended up like on my way home on a major road close to home. I ended up, I guess, falling asleep behind the wheel and crashed in the back of one person's car who ended up crashing into the back of somebody else's car. So it was a three-car accident due to my careless and reckless decisions. Um, there was a moment that I believed that I took somebody's life, and like in my drunken state, I felt this unimaginable guilt that my actions has severely impacted not only my life, the life of somebody else, and also their family members. Um, but was that enough to get sober? No. It What then followed was I got released. My mom picked me up, took me back to her house. I slept slept it off, and woke up the next morning, and like after the fog cleared, I realized, oh shit, I'm in a lot of trouble. How the first thing I thought was not, hey, is everybody okay? It's how can I get out of trouble? And the immediately following that, I was like, I can go and run and hide in rehab. It it wasn't the hey, I have a problem. It's a how can I run and hide from this situation? I ran and hid in rehab. I told my parents this sob story of how, oh, I'm a hopeless alcoholic because I've been in the rooms, I know what to say, I know the song, I know the dance, and I played them like a fiddle. So I ended up calling a rehab. They drove 2.5 hours to come pick me up, and um, of course, before I go to rehab, I have to have my last hurrah. So I decided to drink before the guy picked me up to take me to rehab. I drank so much that even after a 2.5 hour car ride, I blew a point three, I think it was. It was really high level. And I was a mess. Um, as I was going through rehab, the first 2 weeks kind of didn't hit me. I selfishly wanted to like ask for things and, hey, case manager, I need you to contact my lawyer. I need you to push back the court date. Like I'm in treatment. Like I don't want to be bothered with this right now. Like I'm trying to get better. It didn't come until the realization that I was getting out of rehab in 2 weeks and, connecting with good people inside the rehab that I finally got my head out of my ass and the wax out of my ears and decided to, actually, when I went to these meetings inside this rehab, to actually listen. Um, and a major meeting that really impacted me when I was in rehab was a big book breakdown that I attended. And the way that this man broke down the big book, like I started to understand it. First time I ever looked at the big book, I just thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo nonsense, fake stuff. But the way that this man broke it down and like explained the big book and giving me an understanding that I didn't have before, um, really put me down the path of trying to get sober. I connected with the alumni coordinator after hearing him speak, and I was like, "Listen, like, can you be my temporary sponsor? Like, now that I have gotten my head out of my ass, I'd like to start taking this step. Like, there's an urgency that I need to get through these 12 steps." So I was able to complete the first three steps within a 2 week time frame, working with the alumni coordinator of this facility. And then at the end, he looked at me. He's like, "Well, listen, I can only take you so far. You need to make sure that you find a sponsor once you get out of here, and you're gonna have to start over again, start from step one. Like I took you through the first three, but when you go with another sponsor, you're not supposed to pick up where you left off. It's a brand new experience with a new sponsor." Um, so it's like, all right, cool. And before I left, they gave me the option to, go to a PHP with the sober living, or go for those of you that don't know what a PHP is, it's partial hospitalization. So it's like the smallest step down from a rehab. Or they gave me the option to skip the PHP and go to IOP, which stands for intensive outpatient. I was leaning towards more the intensive outpatient just because the fact of it was easier. Like I can go home, I can hop on Zoom, I can sit at home and occasionally attend these 3 hour meetings and then go out the rest of my day. Um, and my case manager looked at me. He's like, I tried to explain to him that like I had all these requirements, like I have a family, I have a kid, I have work. And he looked at me dead in the eyes, like, okay, where were they when you were drinking? I was like, you're right. So instead of taking my own self-will, that was one of the major times that I took my first major suggestion of not doing what CJ wants and do what is recommended. And I did what was recommended. I got into another program closer to home so I could start seeing my family and my daughter. I instead of moving back into the chaos that I created uh, back at my mom's house, it was recommended that I stayed at the sober living. So my first thought was, why would I want to live with a bunch of guys? They all smell, they all stink, they can't do laundry, and the sink is always a mess. Um, but I took the suggestion, and it was probably again another great step. I formed a lot of close bonds with a lot of the guys that I lived with for those few months that I was there. I graduated that program October 31st of 23, and then I moved into a sober living house. Again, I had the option to go back home at to my mom's house, or I could take the path and continue chasing the sobriety like I would have my drink. Where did my head go? I immediately said, "Hey, I want to go where I feel safe." But after learning so much throughout all these programs, I again took a suggestion and moved into a sober living house. I was fortunate enough to move into a sober living house that had a lot of guys that were in my home group. So it was just a continuous like sobriety reinforced every day. So I started to set up those safety nets where I had a home group. I ended up finding a sponsor, and I chose my sponsor based off of something I heard in rehab is um, find somebody that has what you want in sobriety. And what this person had was pure, unfiltered happiness, true happiness. And like the way that he talked, his tone of voice, the way that he interacted with everybody, that's what I wanted. Um, and I was able to form a really strong relationship with my sponsor, and that has helped me dramatically. Um, and with my sponsor, I learned how to conduct myself and, not fly off the handle and act like a fool during certain situations. At the time and currently, am still going through a custody battle with the mother of my child. Um, but how I learned to deal with that was like instead of building up all of these resentments and anger towards this person, like I learned through doing my steps and getting through those steps, like instead of holding that hate and anger, just you know, pray for the pray for the best for that person. It's not easy praying for somebody that you severely dislike with a passion. Um, I don't want to say hate just because the fact that I don't like the word hate because I try not to have hate in my life, but I truly dislike this person with a passion. Um, but you know, being able to stop, think, and pray has gotten me through a lot of situations. Not with not only with the mother of my child, but also like my day-to-day life, even currently. Like I deliver packages for a living right now. I deliver in a not so great city, and the streets are tight, the people are ignorant, and the packages are heavy. And being able to have prayer in my arsenal and being able to actually use it, I'm not throwing packages into people or their cars. I'm able to take a breath. I'm able to see the situation for what it actually is and just move on with my day. Um, but, 2 years sober, I have gained a lot of experience. Um, Through my first year, it was a lot of setting the groundwork, the safety nets, to make sure that, I have like a good, solid foundation. This past this past like second year, I've learned like how to operate inside that triangle of, service, unity, and all that. And it's been such a blessing. Um, some of the stuff that, I have had the pleasure of doing, as Mariano mentioned before, like my sponsor threw me into a car, said, "Get the hell in the car. We're going to this person's house and you're joining a committee." I just said, "Okay." We went up. I ended up getting a chair position as a web chair and got to get experience that I never would have had before. I got to meet a lot of people from all across the state of New Jersey that, I normally would never have interacted with and formed close bonds with other alcoholics. We may all be different in different aspects, but we all share a commonality of being alcoholics and suffering from this disease. And like the thing that I find most beautiful about this program is we all can have different views on different situations, but we can all come together and set aside those differences and help each other and not have to worry about those differences. Um, Yeah, I guess I'll expand a little bit more on the service. After uh, having the pleasure of like working as a web chair for the past, I don't know, year and a half for New Jersey Host was able to win the bid. I stepped down from web chair due to personal differences, but I'm not going to forget a lot of that experience that I gained and those friends. Even though we may disagree on certain things, like I know how to put some of the put aside the problems that I have and still have a strong, solid friendship with a lot of these people. Um, Using that knowledge, I was able to work with with Mariano and get a couple other people involved and establish Roypaa. And I mean, what Roypaa is a remote online community, remote online young people's of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's just an online community for people to come, hang out, and just let it out online 24/7. Um, it has been such a wonderful experience. And, you know, me before I had a specific vision on how this Discord thing would run. But after working the steps and learning about the traditions, like I'm able to kind of remove myself and just let that thing that has been created take a form of its own. I try to not impose my own self-will. I try to just, let things be. And it has been very therapeutic. Um, with being able to let things go and something that I feel so attached to and just let it take its own form, I can take that and translate that into my everyday life. um I if you ask me if I could go back and rewind time and avoid that car accident or not pick up that first ever drink 2 years ago, I would have told you, yeah, I would love to go back in time and never do that. But after going through what not being able to go back in time and like working through my steps and meeting all of these wonderful people, 2 years down the line I look back and I am forever grateful for the experience that I have. And I look forward to everything moving forward. And without those mistakes and those fumbles and those mess ups, like I wouldn't be here today talking to all of you. I wouldn't have the friends that I have. I have friends all across the United States that I still have yet to meet, and I would love to meet them one day. But that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share.